Hello! Welcome everybody to the premiere episode of L2PS2. Learn to Planetside 2 if you couldn't figure it out. It's L2PS2 Infantry Training Camp, so as to not get confused with, a really broad topic of learning everything, because the game has a lot of depth and complexity to it. So my area of expertise is infantry, so that's generally what we're going to be focused on, as opposed to vehicles or outfit leading and so on and so forth. But there are other great streamers here that are going to be streaming on this channel other days of the week for those things as well. So anyway, first episode. What I have in mind basically is you might see me playing a few different empires. I have a BR100 on each of the different empires, so hopefully that means I know what I'm talking about by now. Maybe not. Maybe I'm still an idiot. But anyway, I'll be playing the different empires throughout the show, just depending on what the fights are looking like, things like that. I'll probably be sticking to Emerald, trying to play Hassan as much as possible since it's still fresh and new and awesome. Other than that, I think the future shows that you might be seeing, the next couple of shows, will probably do like an NC edition, a TR edition, and a VS edition as 3 separate shows themed to those specific empires. So if any of you play only one empire, you can kind of have a whole show devoted to that. And I'm basically going to be just going through my normal infantry gameplay with a bit of in-depth analysis, some play-by-play explaining the decisions that I make, what fights I choose and why, what loadouts I choose and classes and weapons and so on and so forth, why I may react in a certain way depending on the situation and whatnot. So that's kind of just the general overview. I'm sure the show will evolve in due time. But I'm very honored to be here, and thank you all for joining me for the first episode. Before we actually jump into combat, I figure it's appropriate, at least for episode 1, to do this. I'll explain a little bit of what I'm looking at. I assume 99% of the people watching have played PlanetSide already, but I'm still going to give just a quick overview that hopefully new players or veterans alike can both benefit from. So just to give you a idea of what my map looks like and why it's gray and 2 shades of red. I guess that's a question that I get a lot. It's really just a personal preference. If you go into settings in general, over here you can change your change both the colors of your friendlies and your enemies for both players. The little icons above players' heads and their names and things like that, as well as facilities, which will change like the A, B, C points on your HUD, as well as the map colors. So that's the one that's a little bit tricky. By default this is enemy and ally, and this is empire colors, but I have mine set to gray for friendlies because I get to kind of just ignore the color a little bit, not pay too much mind to it if I happen to see somebody run in out of the corner of my eye. Also on the map you can see the huge difference in contrasting colors there. And red is enemies. I have 2 shades of red for facilities just because territory boundaries would get confusing if they were all the same color without having to mouse over everything. So if you see it, that's why it looks like that. Everybody asks if it's colorblind mode or something. It's not. It's just a personal preference for target acquisition and identifying friendlies and foes. You're more than welcome to use it if you like it, or you don't have to. It took me a little bit of getting used to, but I definitely like it now. The only other thing I really wanted to talk about before I get into actually playing is 2 things that are really, really important to me, really, that I'm really passionate about as far as being a good infantry player or just being good at any shooter in general, and that's sensitivities and general settings and keybinds. And I'm not going to go into too much detail. There are some videos on my YouTube channel, and I'm sure plenty of other resources out there that go over this stuff in more depth, but I just want to say that it's important if your infantry game is struggling, if you're losing one-on-one fights, if you're having trouble for one reason or another and are looking for ways to improve. These are the first 2 areas that I would suggest sending yourselves to. In general settings, I mean, a lot of this is personal preference, whether or not you toggle zoom. I personally do. I would recommend using raw mouse input and reducing input lag. And then in terms of sensitivity, you really need to find something that works for you. I play with extremely low sensitivity, and it's the same sensitivity I've played first-person shooters with since Unreal Tournament back in 1999. So I've been playing with the sensitivity for 15 years. I have a mouse pad that's 3 feet long. So it works for me, and I've gotten used to how much I have to move the mouse to turn around and things like that for 180s to shoot people that are behind me. But it's really, really low. I play with a 0.1 in-game sensitivity and only 400 DPI, so that's lower than probably 99% of the people that I've come across that have told me what sensitivity and DPI they're playing on. I don't necessarily recommend going that low. I would find what works for you. There's many amazing players that play at high sensitivity and just as many that play at low sensitivity. I think more than any one particular low is good or high is good, it's finding something you like, finding something that's comfortable with you, and then sticking with it and not changing it. And there's really helpful resources out there where you can go and compare, say if you play other games too, you can compare your mouse sensitivity from PlanetSide 2 and then import it into another game so it feels exactly the same. So even if you are playing other games, I don't know why you would, but even if you are, you can have it the same across the board and over the years to just build that muscle memory. So that's my 2 cents on sensitivity. You can also do a lot of things to help practice. I don't know if you want to in the warp gate, or if you run into VR training even from the warp gate menu. There's target dummies that stand still down in a few different areas actually, but probably the ones easiest to access are right. That's not what I wanted to equip at all. Ones that are easiest to access are right down the ramp behind me. Say if I grab a Pulsar C, for instance. These guys, and they're not going to move or anything like that, but there's some pretty cool markings, and this is something that I did a year plus ago when I was first tuning my sensitivity for PlanetSide. And you can stand, like, say on this marking in the ground, or if you wanted, to practice hip fire up closer, wherever you want, just keep the variables consistent, and then you can practice going from target to target. You can make wider jumps, you can go and shoot for his feet and his head, and you can kind of just, improvise as you're going along. Okay, I'm going to shoot, this target's head, then this target's feet, then this target's head, and just kind of say it as you go. And that really worked for me. I would sit there and do that for a half hour, hour at a time, and just I'd get more and more refined as far as snapping to my target. And if I was over or under aiming, then I'd know maybe I needed to adjust the sensitivity. Anyway, other than that, real quick, keybinds is the other big one. I'm not going to go through all of mine. I actually use a Razer Naga, which I don't necessarily even recommend the Naga MMO mouse for PlanetSide unless you are used to having all of those buttons, which I so happen to be since I've been using it for many years. So it's not really something like, oh, just copy my binds. It's not gonna work like that. But what I will recommend is actually thumbing through all of this and just using a little bit of common sense, finding things that that make sense to you when you're in combat. And basically the one thing to keep in mind when doing that is you want to not have to sacrifice your movement speed or your ability to do anything to keep yourself alive, be it actually shooting a target or be it strafing back and forth whenever you need to take an additional action. So if you're playing heavy assault and you're strafing back and forth and you need to throw a grenade, or you need to hit a reload, or you need to use your knife, or you need to activate your shield, any of those things that you can be doing in combat, and many of them are mouse buttons for myself, even switching to a pistol, you want to be sure that you can do all of those actions while still remaining as evasive as possible, if that makes sense. So that's just my 2 cents on keybinds. You may want to take a look, if you're using WASD to move and you've got things over on H and J or whatever that are things that you need to hit in a jam, you don't want to have to take your fingers off of your movement keys and be a sitting duck or forced to only move in one direction for long periods of time. So that's my 2 cents on the keybinds. I also do recommend using ESDF if you don't use a gamepad. If you're using a full keyboard, I much prefer using ESDF for movement because it frees up Q, W, and A, as well as Z a little bit more for binds with your pinky on your left hand, as opposed to just having WASD and you're kind of crammed into the left end of the keyboard. But that's something that I've been using for a really long time as well. It takes some getting used to. It'll probably be at least 2 weeks of you hitting the wrong buttons when you go to move if you try to make the jump over. But definitely something that I recommend and wouldn't want to change at this point. So with that being said, that was hopefully our quick 10-minute or so intro into some things that I feel strongly about with regard to infantry gameplay, not just in Planetside, but in any shooter. And that being said, we'll go and we'll see what the fights look like and kill some stuff. I do have the chat open in another monitor. I will kind of take questions. I mean, feel free if you have like a legitimate question, feel free to put it in a bracket that says question to you know, differentiate from just the regular chatter. You don't have to, but I will be, you know, just doing ongoing Q&A throughout the show. If I miss a question, I apologize, but nonetheless. I am on VS just because I happen to pick VS. Just gonna take a look at the fights. My colors are VS friendly at the moment. But anyway, first thing to do is to not only learn the map and learn how to pick good fights, but obviously to take a look at it before you go anywhere. And I can look at the other continents as well, since there are usually pretty good fights on more than one continent these days, on Emerald especially. I'm glad we sparked a decent keybind related discussion in chat. That's cool. What I personally look for is 25 to 48 versus 25 to 48 rather than 48 plus, or you know, less than 24 at a given fight. I prefer defensive fights, and I prefer to be outnumbered a little bit. So I mean, even if you take a look at Pale Canyon, it's 12 to 24 versus 12 to 24, but it's 62 to 38%. That could be a decent fight if there was a few more people there on either side. Like now it's 25 to 48 versus 12 to 24. That would be like sort of more or less the ideal thing that I'm looking for when I'm just kind of looking for a fight. You don't want to waste too much time, because then you're not playing the game. But I definitely try to prefer defensive fights, both for enjoyment, for experience gain, for everything where possible, and medium size for that matter. It's not to say that that's the only way to do it, but that's just my preference, and the way in which I tend to find the best EXP gain, insert gain, and like I said, enjoyment out of it as well. I'm gonna redeploy since I'm still in VR or Hassan, wherever I am. We can stay on VS for the time being, and I just don't see any fights on Hassan for VS that I'd like to be a part of right now, so I might jump into one of these ItZMuRdA fights. I don't know. Or I could just... we could start out with NC at Nam, for instance. They're probably going to lose the base in 5 minutes, but I'm on Emerald at the moment. But like I said, I'll be switching around during this episode, just kind of trying to give a general overview of everything, like I did with the keybinds and sensitivity too. I'm not going to be doing that at the beginning of every episode. The next 4 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on how you look at it, and I can spawn directly into Nam, awesome, are going to be just flat out NCTR VS shows, respectively. Not sure which order yet. If we want to do like a straw poll or something, whichever one gets the most votes can be the Empire that I play next week, and second most the week after, and least the week after that, or something like that. I don't know. Whatever you guys think is fun, we can do. Yeah, I do have some codes to give away that I need to paste to make last over the entire... oh, I didn't buy back some of these things after the advanced laser sight changes. That's what happened. That I need to make last over the entire series. So, but yeah, there will definitely be giveaways. I don't know if I want to go advanced laser sight on that. So as far as implants go, I don't really have a whole lot unlocked on this character yet. I've just kind of been holding off to get battle hardened or something else that I really want to use, as opposed to the 3 that I have, and not wasting my implant energy. But the grab our golden pistol, which may or may not be included in a giveaway. So I'm gonna probably grab different... looks like we're pretty much in this spawn room at this point, which is no bueno. So I'll be switching between classes, and I'll try to give some commentary on why I picked whatever. I originally grabbed Heavy from the term just because it felt like we were kind of camped in here, and I wasn't going to do much else as a class that had a little bit less sustainability or survivability. But looks like we're kind of screwed on the SCU anyway. Regarding implants comp here, I definitely recommend Battle Hardened if I had to pick one. Right now I feel like it's really strong, largely because it's tier 1 and the energy drain is, you know, as slow as anything else. But also because it just is helpful in so many different situations. This looks more my speed in terms of fights, so we'll check this one out. I don't know, I have to double check some of these loadouts after the, whatchamacallit. Okay, that one still looks decent. Gonna throw the mag shot back on. But, yeah, that Battle Harden's kind of the go-to implant for me, at least, in most situations. It doesn't help so much in hipfire, so if I'm like using SMG infill or something, I'll run marker or maybe something else, as well as, you know, in other such situations, in vehicles or maxes or whatnot, that don't benefit quite the same from Battle Hardens. So it's definitely situational, but it's certainly my go-to. The heavy assault loadout I'm using at the moment looks like we mostly cleared these guys out, so let me just mention real quick before I talk about heavy. That's another thing, like, it's usually pretty easy to tell, and then you can double check by looking at the population and whatnot on your map when a Sunderer has been killed or whatever, when the fight is pretty much over. And I'd say you generally want to redeploy right away and not waste time just foot-zerging off into the distance in terms of maximizing your EXP gain and all the rest. I don't know what exactly is going on down at Ganon East, but it's something we could try. NC's kind of getting crammed off the edge of this continent. Can do something goofy and grab a shotgun flash while we chat. I'm going to try to keep the commentary fairly consistent, just stopping to catch my breath. Even if there's not anything particular to talk about on stream, I'll be trying to answer questions or just talking about something else that I think might be pertinent for one reason or another. Here's the Renegade. I feel like I need to do a few things with it. So Renegade Flash is really kind of just like a goofy loadout. Something I really enjoy, though. Using the shotgun on the Flash with Wraith Cloaking, Vehicle Stealth, and, geez, Scrapper Chassis. With thermals, mag size, and ammo on the gun upgrades itself. Not the most effective or overpowered or whatever, but the Flash happens to be my favorite vehicle, so I have good fun with it, especially after some of the M40 Fury nerfs of old, even though the Fury is still good. Gluehead, for your question about Adrenaline Nanoweave or Resist Shield, Advanced Shield Capacitor for heavy, I almost always use Resist Shield and Advanced Shield Capacitor. I just like the synergy a bit better. I like the mitigating functionality of Resist Shield, and then ASC works so well with it. I thought there was a tank mine for a sec, that ammo box. I managed to run a friendly over in the process. Apologize to him in a second. So, Nanoweave, oh dear, probably should have seen that there was a lightning there first. Nanoweave Adrenaline is definitely a decent choice, and if you do want to use Adrenaline, I would definitely recommend using Nanoweave, or vice versa. If you want to use Nanoweave, I would recommend using Adrenaline. But for my playstyle, I just prefer the Resist Shield. I'd say pick your shield first, because Resist and Adrenaline plays so fundamentally different, and then pick your suit based on which one you pull. Just apologizing to the guy that accidentally ran over. You bet, Shockington. You bet. So this is a little bit dangerous up there. I don't think that's gonna end too well, but I don't know that I have much other choice. I do have an Impetus at the moment, semi-automatic scout rifle, which I may be more effective with. maybe not.
They're outmatched. Finish them off.
Should have popped another medkit. Thought I would get another headshot on him. Yeah, pretty much, Arctor. So we kind of have them pushed out a bit. I have a feeling that Nom is getting quite zerged, just based on the folks that were at the AM station as well as what the map looks like, but I'm going to try it out just because there's a chance that there's going to be better fights closer to the spawn. Impetus just so happened to be a loadout that I was working on getting an Araxi medal with, but that's just a personal set of goals. Might actually grab an SMG or something. So I don't really feel like this is... Well, I do wish I had marker. I don't have that many plants on this character. I'm gonna do that and jump back on there. Oh, Josk. Thanks for putting it in a bracket, I do appreciate that. For those who are wondering, cert gain, I just kind of, how do you have so many certs, that question? I'm gonna grab the Blitz loadout back here and grab advanced laser sighting. Do keep that in mind if you have been playing for a while and you had advanced laser sights or advanced forward grips on things, you'll have to repurchase them on your loadouts now that they're one attachment that unlocks for 200 instead of two that unlock separately. So just something worth keeping in mind if you hadn't noticed that yet. But anyway, yeah. As far as certs, I try to play for not only for certs, but I try to pride myself on you know, a high amount of kills per hour or score per hour or whatever, and certs kind of add up over time, and I try to spend them intelligently. And yeah. I also try to bank a bunch. Once you have a couple thousand, it's much easier to hang on to them and wait for an upcoming patch as well. What do you mean, Mbom? Profile as in the loadout that I'm using, or? Because I have a bunch of different ones that I've been trying to discuss in a bit more detail as I pull them. I'm gonna make another effort to fly down to Ganon. We're kind of just getting spawn camped up here. I really love the gunplay. I know we were just kind of briefly talking about gunplay, but I really love the gunplay in PlanetSide 2. Definitely my favorite modern shooter. It just feels right. That's one element that's really, really important. So. We have the so it's 48-48 fight, and we have 58% pop. So normally I'd be looking elsewhere for that, but sorry, can't stop my rage. Blitz or Cyclone, they're both actually really good weapons. Two of my favorite SMGs. Situationally different. Cyclone's one of my favorite weapons of all time, just because it has a ton of potential to just wreck face 1v1, you know, open up on somebody and unload, and pretty good chance of killing them right off the bat. Blitz, however, is far more forgiving, and generally what I recommend for players that are newer to the game or newer to SMGs, because it's still a monster of a weapon. Allows you to, you know, take down a few players in each magazine and be a bit more forgiving, less risk to it. Okay, there we go. I just had to adjust my second monitor so I can see questions better. Keldreth, I prefer nanoweave for light assault, although it really depends on how you play the class. I tend to prefer just the ability to sustain the damage outright, rather than, you know, take some damage and then run away and recover real quick and then get back into battle. Advanced shield capacitor in general, I think, kind of favors a more of a conservative playstyle, if you will. I know that seems a little odd. I guess I didn't put a scope back on this, but I think ASC tends to prefer. Huh, how about that? Yeah, we are getting some wonderful dropped frames. The good news there is that the dropped frames are going to not carry over into the recording. At least they shouldn't. But I don't really know what to do at this point in terms of restarting the stream. I could, of course, turn it back on and lower quality, but it's been an ongoing issue, and I'm blaming my ISP for it personally, because we've seen it happen before, where my upload just dies for 10 minutes, and then it'll come back like it never happened. But yeah, no, I'm well aware. I definitely apologize for the inconvenience. It's something that I had technicians out to check on last week, because I knew these shows were coming up and I wanted, hey, I just got Battle Hardened. I wanted to make sure that things were in working order, and he did everything he could do and assured me everything was fine. So either it really isn't my ISP and I'm not sure what it is, or it is and he just didn't know what he was talking about. So I'm not sure really what else to say. Like I said, I sincerely apologize for the inconvenience with it, but there's not a whole lot I can do on my end. My resources are call my ISP, take 30 minutes to finally speak to somebody, and then have them tell you that they'll come out to your house a week from now. And once they get here, not be able to find a problem. So we're gonna do the best we can. In my history, this problem usually lasts for a few minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes maybe at the longest sometimes, and then goes back to full speed. Unfortunate that it's happening right now, but hopefully the recap, if nothing else, will still be up to speed. That being said, I don't want to just discuss ISP the entire time, but I do apologize if you're having trouble with dropped frames. Light Assault is actually one of my favorite classes. Oh, speaking of unlocking Battle Hardened, I should have probably grabbed it. Although this particular situation doesn't necessarily play to Light Assault's benefits all that much, just given that we're in a large open area. But the versatility of the class and being able to use the vertical axis, unlike any of the other classes, to get a top-down advantage on folks, or just maneuver around obstacles and terrain in different ways, is huge. So I'm glad to hear that sound is coming through all right. I guess that gets prioritized over the video since it's much lower bitrate first. So we'll keep chatting, and hopefully the video will catch up here shortly. But yeah, Light Assault is often something I'll roll, especially depending on the situation. But it's kind of my go-to class as well. As much as Heavy is well-rounded and can can kind of deal with anything that's thrown at it. I find light assault to give a lot of versatility and advantage on the battlefield. Polar bear in the right corner is my logo, so that's why he's there. I know it probably seems a little weird if you're unfamiliar with. How's it going, Sherry? That's a good answer, Arctorn. I like that. Regarding loadouts in general, since we can talk about that more so than what you can actually see on screen at the moment, I mean they're all customized, but I will say that I try to generally use a few different specific go-to loadouts in terms of attachments and things of that nature. Like my longer range loadout is generally a compensator of forward grip and high velocity ammo where applicable. Of course, advanced forward grip if that's possible. My closer quarters is kind of the opposite of that. It's usually soft point ammo and advanced laser sight or regular laser sight where applicable. And I usually don't use the barrel attachment for close quarters. I'm not a huge fan of the suppressors. Sometimes in low light situations and whatnot, flash suppressor would be worth using because the downside's not too great. I don't really like the regular suppressors all that much, though. I think their downside is significantly outweighs the upside in many situations. As for scopes, really personal preference there, but mine is a 1x scope across the board, and that kind of piggybacks on what I was talking about earlier with regard to sensitivities. If you kind of stick within, you know, one scope or at least one magnification of scopes as much as possible, you help build your muscle memory for maintaining that. So if I use 1x scopes the vast majority of the time, the amount of input that I have to give my mouse for the output of my crosshair on screen is the same each time. So I like to try to stick to that as opposed to sometimes using 1x, sometimes using 2x, sometimes using 3.4, and you know, so on and so forth. I basically just stick to 1x scopes for everything, with the exception of sniper rifles, which I grab the default no scope option, which is a 6x scope for sniper rifles, which I have my my scoped mouse sensitivity tuned for. Worth noting, scoped mouse sensitivity is for those higher magnification scopes, 3.4x and above. Aimed mouse sensitivity will do your iron sights, your 1x and your 2x scopes, so you can kind of tune things a little bit differently. So that's kind of how I have mine. Yeah, I mean, I'm really glad audio is coming through good. I apologize that frames are being dropped. I will, in fact, yell at my ISP, and I apologize to SOE as well for being on the official channel and having this slideshow take place. But like I said, hopefully it comes through fine in the VOD. My local recording will still be there. I can send that over if need be. So, I mean, the recap should be in good shape. But I apologize for the live broadcast. Hopefully it comes back into, you know, full speed here shortly as well. But yeah, feel free to continue asking questions, and I'd be happy to answer even if they're not directly pertinent to what's on screen.
Shield generator critical.
Oh, that was a bad place to go. Kitty is around, but unfortunately not right here. Ammo pouch have any value for heavy assault? I personally don't use it for anything. You tend to have a lot of reserve ammo with LMGs anyway. That's not to say that you couldn't find a use for it. There's certainly some situations where you know you're going to be spawning into an area where you have this like wonderful position. You're just overlooking the enemy, and you're going to run out of ammo if you don't have an engineer nearby, and you'll want to grab that. And I've done that from time to time, especially with light assault. Even if I know I've got a really good spot, I'm not really in too much danger. I don't need the nanoweave, but I need the extra ammo. I've done that on a very situational basis, but I wouldn't default to it per se. was gonna say, they're on 3 different sides of me. That was a bad place to drop into. Yeah. In this situation, I want to grab the compact burst, but I want to make sure I have everything I need for it. Okay. I can grab battle hardened as well now. It's just the stream funny. It's my upload. I mean, my ping is higher than it should be, as you can tell right now. 280 is not not the ping I should be having on Emerald when I normally get 40 to 60. So I'm sure there's some hit reg issues that I'm having, but it's still playable enough. It's mostly the upload that is in bad shape at the moment. I could certainly restart the stream and especially even lower the quality a little bit, lower the bitrate. I just don't know exactly how SOE is going to want to upload the recap and the VOD, so I don't want to necessarily ruin anything by splitting the segments up for them, so that's why I've just been leaving it on. I don't really think Nanoe is worthless. It definitely got a considerable nerf. It was a clear winner before, and now it's a choice to be made for certain. But I don't think it's worthless. I still use it in a handful of loadouts. Fact of the matter is, like, you know, average player isn't getting a whole lot of headshots on you, and you can still mitigate a lot of damage with it. Kind of in, you know, same way that resist shield works well for heavy. Just a little bit weaker and passive instead. But for other classes, like light assault, for instance. But ASC is really good too. It's just it's a playstyle preference, ultimately. Oh, that was some interesting hit reg. Yeah, burst weapons are very, very underrated. I started using this one for Araxian Metal credit, but in generally I used to not really like the burst weapons that much, but as of late they've certainly grown on me. I mean, they got a couple of buffs as well, but they have amazing aimed accuracy, especially if you're standing still, and the ability to throw a laser sight on one and just kind of spam click your button as if you're using a pistol or something like that in close quarters allows for pretty decent hipfire as well. I am playing on Emerald at the moment. Ping went down a little bit. I see my frames looking like they want to go up. Bitrate looking like it wants to go up. I don't know if things are getting better for you guys yet or not. It's definitely still not at full strength here. Oh, I ended up in some crossfire there. I use fraps for screenshots and for monitoring FPS, just kind of in general, across the board. I don't actually use it to record anything.
The enemy has taken the facility.
Enemy engineer spotted.
Minimap awareness is the other thing I was going to talk about before that I think is huge. A lot of people don't really seem to utilize it that much, which is a big reason why I'm not a huge fan of suppressors, because I don't feel like they often are actually making enough of a difference against the average contender. Except for the Claymore. Claymore sees all. So I definitely recommend getting in the habit of rebinding, expanding and zooming in and out your minimap, as well as just glancing at it frequently.
Generator destroyed.
Stream is clearing up. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's clearing up on my end as well, so good news there. Mega apologies for that. I'm just taking a look just so I can get some other Empire play in here. At what else we have. We've got a VS defense down there, so maybe I'll jump on just so so I'm not completely biased here for this episode. While I am, yeah, I was saying about minimap awareness is huge. Get in the habit of glancing down, get in the habit of expanding it. I personally use a keybind to expand it when I need, but some people just play with it fully expanded all the time. Either way, it's H by default, which is a really inconvenient bind for it. I would rebind it to something else. Same with the zooming in and out. That's a huge thing that I think is worth. Yeah, we're back, Mir. Good news. What have we got going on here? We've used all of our whatchamacallits up and haven't fixed these loadouts yet. Just rebuying my advanced laser. No battle hardened here either. Gonna head on down to... No, I'm not. I'll go to Milok instead. I actually think I had a spawn there. That's unfortunate. Just some goofy loadouts. Hey T-Ray, you're still hanging out. Thanks, man. Oh, speaking of... Here we go. Bringing back the days of Command Center ticker. Have fun. As we fly down to Milok. J-Jerk, I saw your question scroll up. Were you saying reducing ADS cone of fire in terms of making things more accurate when you're aiming down sights? I'm just making sure I'm understanding the question. But personally, I think everything feels really good. I get a little wary of when things relating to gunplay, time to kill, ADS, hip fire, strafing, blah, blah, blah. And when any of those coefficients or variables get changed, because I really, really like the way it is right now. So I personally would be in favor of keeping things the same, but just wanted to make sure I was understanding either way. Somebody else had a good question that I don't see on my screen right now. Feel free to re-ask anything if I missed it, guys. Looks like we're clearing up here too. Yeah, I have my my mouse scroll as my zooming in and out, so it's kind of intuitive with being able to zoom in and out on your map. Looks like they're all indoors at the moment, so we'll go down into A. So when you capture a continent at the moment, JTP, you own it until the next continent is captured, which happens either based on an alert that's generated from owning territory, a majority of territory, or an alert that's generated just randomly by the game. And then the winner of that alert after 2 hours would capture the next continent, unlocking the previous one. Right now it's only a limit 1 continent locked at a time per server. But I imagine that'll change because it actually started out as having up to 2 continents locked. Oh, the good old harasser. Way up here. I don't want to kill that guy, but there's guys behind him. There's one more guy. Oh, Max is not cool. Yeah. Sorry, Blue. Alright, so there is a lot of action going on in the actual main part of the base here. Gonna grab, just turn one of these loadouts back into a Pulse RC loadout real quick. Pulse RC, one of my favorite carbines, for sure, across the board. I don't know why that was a Zenith loadout, but whatever. Awesome, Daft. Congrats, man. Guess I can turn that off for now. So yeah, Pulse RC is probably one of my favorite, especially, I mean, if you play VS, I would recommend trying to get used to it for your engineer or light assault when you're looking for medium to longer range encounters where you have to aim down sights. ID Sniper, that would be really interesting floor layouts. I mean, I think anything that is more intuitive to the player, ultimately, you know, gives you a general better idea of what's going on, where enemies are, gives you more information, is something that would be welcome. But you also just need to make sure that you're not making things more confusing on the UI or on the map or on the HUD, as well as weigh the resource time and development time and cost of implementing something versus other things that would be implemented in its place. So I mean, I guess that's a typical answer, right? But I think it'd be pretty cool to have more info on that, for sure. Yeah, I always liked the whole command center ticker for giveaways that they used to do. I felt like it was pretty fair. Not really cheatable or whatever, so I thought I'd do a throwback to that. So this guy's coming in on the west here. Like I said, I'm trying to stay on Hassan where I can, but I definitely recommend checking the map frequently, especially if you feel like you're in a fight that's becoming a little bit stale, or you're not having fun, or you're dying a lot, or whatever, because chances are there's a equally decent, if not better, fight somewhere else on the continent, let alone on a different continent. Still got a lib above us, so that's kind of dangerous, but there's a few guys through these trees. Tango with that Vanguard. Construction site. Delta. Just trying to get an idea. That's where all these tanks are. I check my instant action every so often to see where it wants to throw me. And if I feel like it'll get me to a better respawn position or into a decent fight, I'll go for it. But I'm glad that they made it so that it's not instant action from the map now too. So I'd recommend checking it every so often. It's another way to move around the map efficiently. Sometimes it's not going to put you where you want to be, but other times it definitely will. It doesn't hurt to hit the button and see where it's going to take you, and then decide if you want to cancel it or go for it. He turned around with that rocket in hand. Knew that was bad news. So we do have a decent position for a Sunder here, and perhaps I'd actually do better to be coming from the same direction that the rest of the Empire is. Actually going to jump in. Oh, no, I'm not. Not big on attacking, but in situations where you kind of have a reasonably fortified Sunder and can make a decent push, it can still be pretty fruitful. A lot of guys hold up in that two-story building, actually. ACX-11. That's probably my favorite carbine of all time. Instead of this light assault approach, I think I'm maybe going to try to get by as infill down there, just because I think I'm a bit too exposed up there. Need to redo some of these loadouts here. Hopefully not dying in the process. grab the Eridani at the moment, since I feel like it's a really strong mid-range SMG when you need to aim down sights and whatnot, as opposed to the Sirius that's just kind of like the close quarters hipfire monster. But Eridani still hipfires very well. Actually, probably could have grabbed a extended mag on it instead of the whatchamacallit in this particular situation, the advanced laser. I believe they still have the fresh meat starter purchasable in the internet store on the PlanetSide 2 official site, which gets you a wow. Oh, okay, friendly hit it. I was gonna say I'm surprised you got that detonation off, which gets you a very inexpensive NS7 SMG. So if you're looking to try your hand at an infill SMG or something like that, that's something worth checking out for only 199 station cash. Very good value. You get other things in the bundle as well, camo and boost. Trying to see. Oh yeah. You can definitely take decent shots in the head of people behind turrets now, which is an awesome change in my opinion. They still have pretty reasonable cover, but if you can actually nail the shot, you'll take them down. So that's a good example right there. Got in cover for before I threw the grenade, since I knew they were all bunched up. Tossed the grenade, went around a little miniature flank, popped the guy off the turret, and then I'm able to actually utilize this tree for additional cover now. And using the Eridani at the moment instead of the Sirius allows me to have a little bit better range for ADSing when I have to. Fortunately, I have a much harder time taking down more than one target in a single magazine. Should have went back and killed that guy behind me instead. That was a mistake I made there. I think I will grab extended mag. I'm gonna get a res anyway, but for next go around. Kind of recover a little bit here, get some of my cloak back, get some of my shield back, reload both weapons, shoot off a dart. Try to get a better feel for where they're coming from again. Yeah, I mean, since you mentioned the EU server merges, that was officially announced. I was kind of expecting it after the whole SOE reacquiring from Pro 7 and the recent Matherson-Waterson merge, but we didn't hear any sort of confirmation in favor of it until just a few moments ago. Probably a couple hours ago or something like that at this point, that they'll be merging Miller and Woodman and Sears and Cobalt. So 4 servers down into 2. And they are going to be doing some sort of merger smashes like they did with Waterson-Matherson. Hopefully they'll go well. Although I'm all for Werner, personally, as at least one of the names. But take that for what it's worth. That's no sort of official confirmation, but I like what they did with Emerald, so I think it'd be pretty cool to continue the tradition. Beamer is a really, really good pistol, when you get the hang of it especially. It can fire pretty fast successive shots quite accurately. This is asking for death. Alright, so this base is at the point, at least from an infantry perspective, where they're backing off. Their Sunder that was here is dead. I'm going to be redeploying, trying for something like Construction Site Delta or even Wainwright. It's a smaller fight, but it's reasonable numbers. Or even Lambda down here, actually. In this situation, I actually really like this generic base layout, the construction site layout. So in this situation, I'm gonna go this route. Hell, I can grab an Orion, I guess. Why not? Since I am seemingly not going to get to play TR at all during this broadcast, I will do the TR edition of the show next week. I just feel like that's fair, and then we'll circle back and we'll do an NC and a VS edition at some point. Maybe next week we'll have a vote for which one comes next or something like that. But I feel like that's only fair. Contrary to popular opinion, I still do have a laser sight on my Orion. I'm not sure that's actually a good idea after the hipfire nerf. My Orion on my Connery character actually uses a forward grip, and I've just been toying around with throwing the laser sight back on it since it still gets pretty decent hipfire, but taking shots at like this range, I'd really be better off having the forward grip. Yeah, don't forget, in honor of World Cup, just another thing to mention, the Germany vehicle and armored decals are both one station cache for a couple of days, so you're going to want to pick that up. Or maybe you're not going to want to, but at least you know about it. That's a pretty good headshot. If you can get to like this door on this base and then come in here and then sweep up, you get a pretty good clear of it. We'll roll flare instead. Still don't really have an implant that I want to waste the energy on just yet. Flare is an extremely strong mid to long range LMG, so I'm going to pick this up in its place. Hey Slow, how's it going, man? Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to all you guys for tuning in. Much appreciated. And thanks for your patience through ISP woes and all the rest. Oh dear. Fancy. That must have been somebody else, yeah. Guess I didn't expect him to light assault over there. Totally grab a max in this situation, but I'll just take the res in. Whoa, getting shot by friendlies. I don't think we're going to be able to actually push in at this point. I was gonna say I'm gonna get sniped again. That's actually a really interesting place for this Sunderer. It's probably gonna die by the time I spawn at it, but if I could spawn at it and grab a max, it could be pretty interesting. Max isn't a class that I use often, but has huge potential in the right situations. Though I did grab Nebulas, and I'm not sure how much that's going to come in handy at the ranges that I'd like to be at right now. That's kind of bad news. This guy's going to just decimate me.
The enemy has taken the facility.
Lucius would be my recommended go-to VSAI max weapon. It's just so versatile at both close and medium to longer range. I am on Emerald at the moment. Okay, guy would have died if I had Lucius. I had some time to get my auto repair to kick back in, especially if you're running solo or, you know, not with at least a squad or an engineer that you can trust. Definitely recommend rocking the auto repair if you're low on maxes. Don't know if that was an AV grenade, so I'm gonna get the heck out of there. Wow, Oh, Banshee. I was gonna say, okay. Banshees eat up maxes. Holy bananas. Pop back into Wainwright, which is where I was gonna go originally. Still a decent base for light assault. So, I mean, we will be wrapping up pretty quick, or pretty soon, I should say. They went fairly fast. But I will be back here next Monday, same time, after T-Ray and Inside the Player Studio, around 9:30 Eastern or 6:30 Pacific, or 7:30 Mountain, or 8:30 Central. We'll be doing the same thing. We'll be doing a TR edition of the show next week. So, if you are a TR player, I apologize for this week not having TR play. It wasn't really by choice. It was just how it seemed to happen. Hey, Battle Hardened on this character too. So we'll be doing TR edition next week. I'll probably make a straw poll for a vote for which empire will be the third show, and then the remaining empire will be the fourth show. And that's what's planned for the time being, at least. We've got many awesome shows going on as well that are worth tuning into throughout the rest of the week. I'm just starting it off here, so make sure to tune in to all the rest. You can post the Higby schedule from Reddit and chat too, if perhaps that's easy for reference. But a lot of awesome stuff going on. Everything that I've gotten to tune into so far has been a lot of fun to watch. Really honored to be one of the broadcasters as well. So cool stuff there. There's a link for you guys that goes over the other shows for what it's worth. You got Work in Progress tomorrow and Kudo Chop's premiere show. Kind of bringing up the caboose with me here on the community or player-driven streams. His Art of Solo show tomorrow night. And then you've got Rel, Higby, and Sardis again on Wednesday, same as last week. You got Kid Riot, Zora and the Bear, and Friends on Thursday, and of course Friday Night Ops on Friday. A lot of awesome stuff going on, so be sure to tune into that. It is also July 14th, and that means we're only exactly 1 month away from SOE Live, which is amazing. Really happy that I'm going to be able to attend this year. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully see a lot of you guys out there. Make sure to register if you're interested. SOE.com/SOE Live. 31 days to go. Begins August 14th. Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. So a lot of fun stuff there over the next month or so for the SOE and the PlanetSide 2 community. This base looks like it's pretty much wrapped up. So I think that's probably as good a time as any to wrap up the rest. You've also got, I guess, the resource revamp on, kind of in stages. I guess it's not completely wrapped up yet. On the test server right now, Malern has been tweeting out a lot of information on that, as well as answering questions and so on and so forth. Resource revamp is far and away one of the most anticipated features, personally, that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. So I can't wait to get that on live servers and see how it all plays out. Definitely urge you guys to check it out as well and provide feedback. Oh my goodness. Well, that was somewhat of a clutch save. Just kind of finishing up here, but I always find it hard to log off on the base that I'm at. It still has a fight going. That's an issue that I have, I guess. Anyway, that'll about wrap it up for this episode. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in, and be sure to tune in, like I said, the rest of the week for all the other shows. You can find my stream at ItZMuRdA.com as well as a link to my other information about me and social media and so on and so forth. Really, really awesome hanging out with you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and thanks again to SOE for the opportunity. So I will see you guys back here with the TR edition of the show next week 1 week from right now. But please do tune in the rest of the days as well, because there's a lot of really awesome stuff going on in the channel these days, and still time slots to fill, as Tramel was saying earlier. So if you know a streamer, if you are a streamer, they're especially looking for vehicle-focused streams to get in there, make the suggestion, and hopefully we'll see some more people get on here in the near future as well. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you around. Have a good one.